It was almost midnight when the knock came. Soft, hesitant, almost afraid of itself. I opened the door expecting a neighbor. Maybe a delivery gone wrong. Instead, a woman stood there, rain dripping from her coat, eyes red from crying. She didn't introduce herself. She just leaned close and whispered words that froze my blood. "Your husband is cheating with my wife." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard her. The street behind her was empty, silent, like the whole world was holding its breath waiting for my reaction. My hands trembled on the doorframe. I didn't invite her in. I couldn't move. She must have seen the disbelief on my face because she pulled out her phone, hands shaking, and showed me photos. My husband's car parked outside a house I didn't recognize, timestamps spanning months. My stomach twisted. I felt the floor tilt beneath me, like the life I'd built for 12 years was suddenly made of glass, and someone had just thrown a stone through it. She said her name was Mira, and that her wife, Sanaa, had been distant for almost a year. She'd hired someone to follow her, never expecting to find my husband's name attached to the betrayal too. I invited her in, my mind still refusing to accept what my eyes had seen. We sat across from each other, two strangers bound by the same lie. Mira spoke slowly, carefully, like she was measuring how much pain I could take at once. She told me Sanaa and my husband had been meeting every Thursday, using fake meetings and gym schedules as cover. Every excuse he'd given me over the past year suddenly made a sickening kind of sense. I felt anger rising, but beneath it was something worse. Grief for a marriage I thought was safe, now revealed as a carefully built cage of lies. Mira reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. Bank statements, messages, hotel receipts. She'd been building this case for weeks, waiting for the right moment, the right person to share it with. "I didn't come here for revenge," she said. "I came here because I think we deserve the truth before they decide our futures for us." Her voice cracked on the last word. I realized then that she wasn't just angry, she was heartbroken, just like me. Two women, betrayed by the people they trusted most, sitting in my living room at midnight, holding evidence of a double betrayal. That night, we didn't sleep. We went through every message, every date, every excuse that suddenly unraveled into a pattern too clear to deny. I remembered the nights he came home smelling of unfamiliar perfume, the sudden secrecy over his phone, the way he'd flinch when I asked simple questions. Mira remembered Sanaa's late nights, her sudden interest in weekend trips alone. Piece by piece, our stories fit together like a puzzle neither of us wanted to solve. By sunrise, we weren't just two wronged wives anymore. We were allies, bound by anger, grief, and a growing need for justice neither of us could ignore. Mira was the one who proposed the plan. She said if we confronted them separately, they'd deny everything, twist the story, turn us against each other instead of facing the truth. But if we planned together, if we let them believe they were still safe, we could catch them in the act, undeniable, unable to lie their way out. My heart pounded at the thought. Part of me wanted to scream, to end it immediately. But another part, the part still clinging to 12 years of memories, wanted proof so absolute that no excuse could survive it. I agreed. We spent the next 2 weeks building our trap carefully. Mira tracked Sanaa's patterns. I watched my husband's. We synced our information, filled gaps in each other's evidence, and waited for their next meeting. The waiting was unbearable. Every smile he gave me at breakfast felt like a mask, every goodbye kiss felt like betrayal wrapped in familiarity. I started noticing things I'd ignored for years. How easily he lied, how comfortable the deception had become. Mira and I spoke every night, sometimes just to breathe through the pain together. In her, I found something I never expected. Real friendship born from real betrayal. The night finally came. We followed them separately to the same hotel Mira had tracked for weeks. My hands shook as I parked across the street, watching my husband walk in, phone in hand, laughing at something on the screen. Probably a message from her. Mira arrived minutes later, calm on the outside, though I could see her jaw clenched with the same fury boiling inside me. We waited exactly 20 minutes, enough time to be certain, before walking in together. The look on the receptionist's face when we asked for the room number said everything about how far this had gone. We stood outside their door for what felt like forever. Mira reached out and knocked, 3 slow, deliberate knocks, echoing the same fear and courage she'd shown at my door weeks earlier. The door opened, and time seemed to stop. My husband's face went pale, Sanaa's dropped in horror, both frozen mid-sentence, mid-lie. There was no explanation that could survive that moment, no excuse elaborate enough to erase the truth standing in front of them. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply looked at him and said, "You don't have to explain. I already know everything." The silence that followed was louder than any scream. What happened next surprised even me. Instead of chaos, there was a strange, cold calm. Mira and I didn't fight with them. We didn't need to. We had already won the moment we chose truth over denial. We turned and walked away together, leaving them standing in the doorway, exposed and speechless. The drive home was quiet, but it wasn't empty. It was the sound of two women reclaiming control over their own stories. For the first time in months, I felt lighter, like the weight of pretending everything was fine had finally been lifted from my shoulders. The days that followed weren't easy. Divorce papers, difficult conversations, the slow unraveling of a shared life. None of it was simple. But Mira stood beside me through every step, just as I stood beside her. We became each other's strength during a time when trust in everyone else felt impossible. Our husband's betrayal had broken something in both of us, but it had also built something unexpected, a bond stronger than the marriages we'd lost. People often think revenge is about destroying someone else. What we learned was different. Real power came from reclaiming our own truth, together. Months later, Mira and I still talk almost every day. We've become the kind of friends who don't need explanations, who understand each other's silences as much as their words. The men who betrayed us moved on, perhaps even found new lies to tell someone else. But we moved forward too, stronger, wiser, no longer willing to accept less than honesty in our lives. What started as a knock on my door in the middle of the night became the moment that changed everything, not because of what we lost, but because of what we found in each other. Looking back now, I realize that Stranger's Whisper wasn't the end of my world, it was the beginning of reclaiming it. Mira often says that pain introduced us, but choice made us family. We built something neither betrayal could touch, a friendship rooted in truth, resilience, and quiet strength. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most indirectly lead us to the people who save us. That night, I lost the marriage I thought I had, but I gained a sister I never expected. And in the end, that revenge plan wasn't really about revenge at all. It was about finding our way back to ourselves.